All right, so heading toward Buladean, we're going over what they call the Iron Mountain Gap. So I'm on my way to Burnsville. There was a deceased couple whose estate came up, and the auctioneer really didn't do their due diligence at all. They were taking pictures of boxes and not really doing much other than saying, oh, these are books, or oh, this is glassware, or oh, here's a whole bunch of bottles, look at all these jars, the contents of this shelf, that type of thing. So it's up to the bidder to decide, is it worth it or not. Now, it said plainly there that it was unsorted, but there's no way that the children of Daniel and Teresa Mackey didn't come in and at least look through stuff. Maybe, like at my house, there's cigar boxes and all these things, but some of that stuff's full of money. I knew a couple one time, the man kept like a couple grand in a certain pair of shoes, and at some point, some relative cleaned out a closet and donated all that stuff to Goodwill. I don't think Goodwill came calling saying, hey, look what we found. So somebody had a nice Christmas that year. Anyway, heading to Burnsville, and I spent, I think it's $13.87 on 4 or 5 different lots. We'll see what I come away with. I don't really need more stuff. The place where I have booths at, the general store, is not going to be open until March, is what I'm told now. So, which is fine. But I like driving these old roads. A lot of times, if you have a passenger, they could get sick because of motion sickness, because all the switchbacks and stuff. And I'll kind of show you what I mean. Figure out how to turn this around. Well, I'll just kind of turn it around myself. But yeah, there's a lot of switchbacks. So here's, you can see in the GPS. But I remember delivering furniture out here, and we go over Iron Mountain this time of year, especially if there had been snow or rain this time of year, and the ground was going to be slick. Driving a 36-foot box truck is not fun. It's really kind of like an aerobic workout. Anyway, a lot of that poplar. I remember when we was camping when I was a kid, you could throw that poplar, those leaves, in the fire, and it just pop, 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 pop. But I remember one time one of the rangers came over and said, y'all can't be throwing that in the fire like that. That's illegal. So we didn't get in trouble, but we got, warned, I guess. Not that they would take a 8-year-old to jail, but yeah, I'll never forget that. Yeah, this is a windy road. I'm glad I didn't bring my trailer. If I have to make 2 trips, then tomorrow I'm gonna bring the dogs with me. They'll like this, I think, and I want to get them used to riding around in the car too. But at any rate, I got a lot more of this coming, as you can see. I would say within 10 to 20 years, they'll end up putting some straight highway through here, and this thing will barely even get used. I think now it's probably somewhere where people ride motorcycles, they do this kind of as a rite of passage, or people who drift their cars, pull the emergency brake and send it sideways and things. I think that probably gets done out here as well. But at any rate, it's like there's an old spring over here where this man is filling up his water bottles. That's always cool when you find stuff like that out here in the rural areas. But back in the day, if you knew where to go, I imagine it would be like if you knew where to go, where the moonshiners were, they take your bottle there and then fill it up, because that stuff's just for sipping. A jar of moonshine lasts you a month. Anyway, we're at pretty much the top of the mountain, and we're entering Pisgah National Forest. We're leaving Cherokee and entering Pisgah. We're 27 miles from Spruce Pine, 16 miles from Bakersfield. Bakersfield is on the backside of Roan Mountain. As soon as you cross Roan Mountain, it go into the North Carolina state line, and the first city you really come to is Bakersfield. But Burnsville's kind of a anomaly in a way. I remember we'd always stop at this specific store there and buy Little Debbie snack cakes. And rather than, because it was kind of like a grocery store for the area too, rather than buy them individually for 89 cents at the time, we would buy a whole box for like $1.19. Of course, you can't get Little Debbie's that cheap now. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to be using the brake quite a bit. But anyway, you can see what's coming up here. A big, nasty, nasty curb. Famous last words. Nasty, nasty curb. I bet that house has some stories. That's what we call a moon house, if those could talk. Looks like it was set up like a duplex, but it was one of them block buildings too, so it might have been something that like a Ruritan had built or something like that. I always liked these drives personally when I delivered furniture. If I had a good helper especially. I remember Chris was a good helper. Me and Justin were both driver helpers, so I always liked working with Justin Wilhoit. After we'd worked with each other a while. When we first started out, but I think we hated each other. But anyway. All right, you slack-jawed daffodils. You probably had enough of me. I'm just rambling on. You have a good one.